Today we'll be making a vegetarian Moroccan Harira soup. For this hearty dish, you'll need celery, carrot, onion, ginger, garlic, cumin, coriander, paprika, cinnamon, and allspice, tomato paste, red and green lentils, chickpeas, canned tomatoes, veggie stock, orzo pasta, kale, lemon, ras al hanout, and fresh cilantro. And if you're new here, I'm Maggie. This is No Frills Kitchen, where I teach you how to cook with confidence with nothing fancy required. The first step is to chop your carrots, onions, and celery very finely. It's undesirable to have big pieces of carrot in your finished soup. You can use a chef's knife for this, or if you're looking to save some time, chuck everything into the food processor and pulse a few times. I usually just use a knife, and this is a great time to practice your knife skills. Next, strip some kale from its stems and roughly chop the leaves. Set the kale aside for later. Then finely mince some garlic or use a garlic press like I do. I also like to remove the stuck flesh from inside the garlic press and chop that up to ensure I don't waste anything. Finally, chop some fresh ginger. I really don't find the need to peel ginger, and I think it's a waste of time, so I don't do it. If this freaks you out, then by all means peel the ginger. You can also grate it, however I tend to like to mince it with my knife, but it's all up to you. Now, moving to the stovetop, in a heavy Dutch oven or saucepan, add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil and set it over medium heat. Once the oil is shimmering, add your mirepoix along with a generous pinch of salt and cook, stirring occasionally until the vegetables have softened and are beginning to brown. This step will take about 10 minutes, and I really urge you not to cut corners and skip this phase. It's essential to building up the flavor for the soup. Put on some music or a podcast and chill out during this time. Cooking can be relaxing if you let it be. By the way, if you're finding this recipe helpful, it would be great if you could give it a thumbs up. It helps more people find my videos, and I would really appreciate it. Once your carrots, onion, and celery are all cooked to the desired level, add some finely minced garlic and fresh ginger to the pot. Stir to combine and cook until this is just fragrant, only about 30 seconds or so. Now it's time to add your spices. For this step, we're adding some cumin, coriander seed, smoked paprika, cinnamon, and allspice. Stir this into your mirepoix mixture and cook again until fragrant, another 30 seconds to 1 minute. Next, squeeze in a bit of tomato paste. Stir the tomato paste to combine with all of your vegetables and cook for a couple of minutes longer, just until the paste thickens, darkens, and begins to stick to the bottom of the pan. Then it's time to add your lentils. I call for using both red lentils and green lentils in this recipe because they offer different textures to the soup. Also, toss in a can of rinsed chickpeas. Grate in a bit of lemon zest here too. Stir this all to combine and then pour in a can of whole tomatoes that you've crushed with your hands. Then add in a bit of vegetable stock. If you're not concerned about this being vegetarian, then use chicken stock here with no problem. Bring everything up to a boil, reduce it to a simmer, and simmer the soup until the lentils are tender and cooked through. This will take about 15 to 20 minutes. Make sure to taste the lentils to ensure that they're cooked. One great thing about this recipe is that it freezes really well, so I tend to make more than single servings and freeze the rest, which is what I did when filming this recipe. If you want to freeze this soup, portion the amount you want to freeze at this time. Once you defrost it, pick it up from the next step. So, once the lentils are cooked, it's time to add some pasta. I call for orzo in this recipe, but you can use vermicelli if you'd like as well. Add the pasta to the pot along with the fresh kale. Cook until the orzo is al dente and the greens are tender, about 10 minutes. Turn off the heat and stir in a bit of lemon juice along with some ras al hanout. The latter is a North African spice blend that is really easy to make. I've got a formula for the recipe linked in the description below, or you can purchase it online if you can't find it in the supermarket. Then stir in a bit of freshly chopped cilantro for some bright herbaceous flavor. All you need to do now is taste to adjust for seasoning, add a little bit more salt and pepper if you think it's needed. Then serve the soup, topping with a bit more cilantro. If you liked this recipe, please make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss my next videos. Enjoy!